You heard the laugh, then the whisper, "Go to sleep. Don't close your eyes. He's already inside." Most people think Jeff the Killer is a campfire story, an internet ghost, just some pale freak in a hoodie that lives in bad Photoshop and Reddit threads. But the thing is, Jeff doesn't care if you believe in him, because once you hear the laugh, you're marked. Once you see the smile, really see it, you'll know it wasn't a joke. I survived him, barely, and I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you because you're next. So memorize these tips, not just for tonight, but forever. Because Jeff doesn't hunt the weak. He hunts the ones who almost believe he's not real. Tip 1. Don't say his name after midnight. I didn't believe it either. The whole "don't say his name" thing felt like recycled Bloody Mary nonsense. Something people say in forums for fun. Like holding a flashlight under your chin at a sleepover and whispering Jeff's name into the dark would actually summon him. But I said it, and I wish I hadn't. It was just after midnight. I was in my room, scrolling, bored, half asleep. Some Reddit thread dared people to record themselves saying "Jeff the Killer" 3 times with the lights off. I laughed. I actually laughed. I even typed, "Lame. I'll do it right now." So I turned the lights off, faced the mirror above my dresser, and I said it. Once, twice, 3 times. Nothing happened at first. But when I turned away from the mirror, my reflection didn't move. I stood frozen, my phone light trembling in my hand, trying to convince myself it was a trick of the dark. Maybe my brain lagged behind my body. Maybe sleep deprivation was catching up. But then the reflection tilted its head, slowly, sharply, and smiled. Not a human smile, not a twitch of lips or a warm curve of joy. No, this was too wide, too high, like someone had carved it into the face. I blinked and it was gone. No movement, no footsteps, just the sound of breathing that wasn't mine. I slept with the hallway light on after that. Didn't close my eyes until sunrise. So here's the truth. Saying his name after midnight doesn't bring him to you. It just lets him know where you are, like ringing a bell in the fog and waiting for something to answer. If you're going to be stupid, do it before 11:59, because the moment the clock strikes midnight, you're not alone anymore. Tip 2. Reflections are not your friend. Let me ask you something. Have you ever caught your reflection doing something off? Not full-on horror movie stuff, just a delay, a twitch, a subtle difference in posture that makes your stomach drop? I thought I was losing it. That night, after the name, after the smile in the mirror, I stayed awake until dawn, like I told you. I left every light on. When morning finally broke through the blinds, I felt dumb for being scared, like I'd fallen for the myth. But then I walked past the hallway mirror. I didn't look straight at it, just a glance, a flicker of motion where there shouldn't have been any. I stopped, stepped back, and there I was, standing still, pale, expressionless. But something was wrong. My reflection wasn't wearing what I had on. It had on that hoodie, the filthy white one you've seen 100 times online, usually paired with stories about kids found gutted in their bedrooms. The hoodie was spattered with something dark, like grease or blood. And the face, the eyes were ringed in shadows. The mouth was wide open, smiling again. But this time, teeth were showing. Too many. I didn't scream. I didn't breathe. I just backed away and turned every mirror in the house to face the wall. Here's the part I wish I could forget. When I flipped over the mirror in the bathroom, just to be sure, it grinned at me from the other side. No face, no body, just a floating smile, like it had been burned into the glass itself. I broke that mirror, smashed it until there were only glittering fragments in the sink. But the damage was done. Jeff uses reflections like windows. And once you see him in one, that mirror belongs to him. He won't crawl through it, not right away. No, he watches, waits, gets closer with each glance. So here's what you do. Cover every mirror, tape blankets over them, face them to the wall. Never trust what you see in glass, because if you catch yourself smiling when you're not, he's already closer than you think. Tip 3, sleep with the lights almost off. There's this instinct we all have when we're scared. Turn on the lights, bright, blinding, full light. We think if we flood the room with electricity, the shadows disappear, that we'll be safe. But Jeff's not a creature of the dark. He's a creature of the in-between. The first night I saw him, really saw him, I left every bulb in the house burning. My bedroom looked like a photography studio. No shadows, no corners, just clean, sterile light. I thought I'd beaten him, outwitted some ancient evil with a bunch of 60-watt bulbs. But at 3:12 a.m., every light flickered at once, just for a second, but it was enough. When they came back on, I wasn't alone. There was something under the bed. I hadn't heard it crawl in. I didn't see it exactly, but I felt it, cold air rising from the carpet, that slow, deliberate shift of weight on the mattress, as if something was repositioning itself beneath me. Then the laugh, that cracked, guttural he, like glass grinding against teeth. I jumped out of bed and reached for the lamp, but this time the bulb exploded in my hand. It wasn't random. It didn't fail. It burst, like someone had whispered to it. So here's what I've learned. Jeff doesn't strike in darkness. Not always. He strikes in silence, stillness, when the light is too bright or too dark. That's how he slips in. I've tested this for weeks, and the only thing that's ever kept him away is this. Keep your room dim, not pitch black, not daylight bright. Think TV glow. Think of the orange flicker of a dying candle. He hates uncertainty. He thrives in extremes. But that gray, muddy middle where shadows curl but don't quite move, that's where you might stand a chance. Tip 4, stay away from the bathroom at 3 a.m. There's something about 3 a.m. Some people call it the devil's hour. Others call it psychological nonsense. Just the time when the body hits its lowest energy point. But I've seen things at 3 a.m. that don't belong in this world, and most of them happen behind the bathroom door. I don't go in there anymore, Not at night, especially not when I hear the humming. It started with water, not dripping, not the pipes knocking. I know those sounds. This was a steady stream, like someone had turned on the faucet full blast. I got up, half asleep, groggy, stumbling toward the light switch. But the second I touched the knob, the water stopped. Not a slow trickle, not a slow fade. It snapped off like it heard me coming. I opened the door. Nothing. The sink was dry. The tub was dry. The mirror was fogged, though, like someone had been standing there just moments before, breathing slowly onto the glass. That was the first night. The second night, it was humming. Low, childish, out-of-tune humming. You know that sing-song kind of hum kids do when they're playing with dolls? Or when they're drawing something horrible in crayon and calling it art? It came from behind the shower curtain, and I froze, because I don't even own a shower curtain. I backed away. I didn't go in. The humming continued for 5 minutes. Then silence. I slept on the porch that night with a knife under my chin and my back to the wall. I've heard stories from others who weren't so lucky. One guy stepped into the bathroom and saw his own reflection sitting on the toilet, smiling. Another swore he saw bare, muddy footprints leading into the tub and none coming out. Jeff doesn't always need a front door. Sometimes he comes through the pipes, through the steam, through whatever little cracks fear leaves behind. So here's the rule. If it's around 3 a.m. and you hear something in the bathroom, don't check, don't flush, don't speak. Wait until sunrise. Because if you open that curtain, you're not going to like who's waiting in the tub. Tip 5. Check your phone camera, not your eyes. Your eyes will lie to you, not because you're hallucinating, but because Jeff wants them to. He's patient like that, subtle. He doesn't always show up in the flesh, not at first. He prefers to test the edges of your sanity, to see if you'll notice. I noticed, but only because of my phone. It was around 2 a.m. I'd been trying to sleep, but the feeling was back. That awful, prickling sensation that someone was watching me, not from the window, not from the hallway. Closer, too close. I sat up, scanned the room. Nothing. But the feeling wouldn't go away. It got worse, thicker, like the air itself didn't want to be breathed. So I opened my phone, not to call anyone. I just wanted light, something soft, something real. And on impulse, I flipped to the front-facing camera. That's when I saw it. Behind me, over my shoulder, a pale face, white as candle wax, grinning. Not human, because no human smile curves that far back. It wasn't a reflection. It wasn't a trick. The camera was pointed at me, and he was in the frame. I spun around, heart jackhammering. Nothing, just my room. Empty, quiet, still. I looked back at the screen. The face was closer now. It hadn't moved in the real world, but in the camera, it was inches away from mine, like it wanted me to see it, like it wanted to know I was being watched. The camera app crashed. My phone died, even though I had 64% battery left. I didn't sleep for 2 days after that. Listen to me carefully. Jeff doesn't always appear in reality. He prefers to show up where you don't expect him, on screens, on blurry live streams, on paused video calls where someone's face lingers one frame too long. So if you ever feel that cold air crawl across your neck, don't spin around. Don't trust your own sight. Open your camera. If it glitches, freezes, or shows a second you, that's not smiling anymore. Run. Tip 6. Don't answer to go to sleep. It always starts as a whisper, not loud, not angry, just calm, like it belongs, like it's something your own thoughts might have said. Go to sleep. 3 words, that's all. And you'll hear them when you're at your most vulnerable. Eyes fluttering shut, breathing slowing, body on the edge of giving up. The first time I heard it, I was half dreaming. I thought it was my own voice, the kind of self-talk you give yourself after a long night. But the second time, it came from outside the bedroom door, not shouted, not spoken, whispered. I held my breath. Go to sleep. Closer now, right behind the door. I thought it was a prank. Maybe someone from the forums had found my address. Maybe a friend was screwing with me. So I said it back, quietly, trying to match the tone. Okay. Bad idea. There was no slam, no screaming, just the soft creak of the doorknob turning, slowly, silently. I held my ground. I waited. The door didn't open, but when I looked the next morning, there were bloody fingerprints on the inside handle. Jeff doesn't need permission to enter your home. He needs permission to enter you, your dreams, your head, your compliance. The whisper is bait. And when you answer, when you say okay, or I'm tired, or even just nod, you invite him in. I've heard from survivors. They all describe the same sequence. First, the whisper, then the dream, then waking up with the sheets soaked in sweat and the faint smell of bleach in the air. That's his calling card. That sterile, chemical stink. That's how you know he was close. So if you ever hear those words in the dead of night, don't answer, don't move, don't even breathe. Let the silence stretch. Let him wait. Because the moment you respond, he'll finally have what he wants. A reason to smile at you in person. Tip 7. Bleach and knives are his calling cards. You ever walk into a room and know something's wrong before you even see it? Not from sound, not from movement, just that thick, invisible weight in the air. That's how it was for me the first time I found the knife. It was in the sink. A long kitchen knife, blade up, perfectly centered like someone had set it down with care. It wasn't mine. The handle was wrapped in black tape, and the metal was dull, like it had been scraped raw against bone. Beside it sat a plastic bottle. No label, just the smell. That unmistakable, sterile sting of bleach. My front door was still locked, my windows shut. There was no sign of a break-in, no footsteps, no mess, just the knife and the bleach. I threw both away, scrubbed the sink, told myself it was a dream. But the next night, it happened again. Same knife, Same bottle. Only this time, the blade was wet. I've since learned this is part of Jeff's game. The knife and bleach are warnings, a signature. He doesn't always come with screams and blood. Sometimes he leaves pieces of his story behind. He wants you to know he's there, wants to remind you of what he is. It's all part of the image, the myth, the ritual, bleach. Because that's what he used to burn his own face into, that pale, stretched horror you've seen in drawings. And knives, because he doesn't kill clean, he carves. But here's the worst part. Sometimes they show up in your bedroom. One girl I spoke to found the knife under her pillow. The bleach was inside a glass on her nightstand. She didn't scream. She didn't run. She tried to pretend it hadn't happened. 2 nights later, her house was empty. No signs of forced entry, no blood, just the knife in the sink again, dry this time, like he didn't need to use it. So here's what you do. If you find either of them, don't touch them. Take a picture, document it, get out. Do not sleep there. Because Jeff doesn't leave those things as a threat. He leaves them as a promise. Tip 8. Don't trust sleepwalkers. I used to think sleepwalking was just harmless. We've all heard the stories. People getting up to use the fridge in their sleep, muttering nonsense, opening doors with blank stares. It's weird, creepy even, but not dangerous. That was before my brother knocked on my door at 2:47 a.m. He didn't say anything, just stood there, barefoot, his hoodie soaked through with sweat, eyes wide open but empty, not like he was seeing me, but like he was waiting for someone behind me to speak first. "Everything okay?" I asked. He didn't blink, didn't move. Then, in a low voice, too low to be his, he whispered, "Go to sleep." I slammed the door, locked it, shoved the dresser in front. He stood outside for 7 hours, never moved, never sat, just stood. At sunrise, he collapsed, dead asleep. No memory of it at all. We don't speak about that night anymore, but sometimes I catch him staring at the hallway mirror for too long. Sometimes I hear the humming. And he's not the only one. I've heard stories from survivors, people waking up to their roommates standing over them, grinning. Parents finding their children with kitchen knives clutched in their little hands, faces twisted like they've been practicing how to smile. Jeff doesn't always come himself. Sometimes he uses people, like gloves, like puppets. He climbs in through their sleep, settles behind their eyes, and waits. They'll speak in his voice. They'll grin like he does. They'll stand perfectly still and listen to the dark like it's whispering back. So, here's what you need to remember. If someone in your house starts sleepwalking and they're smiling, don't wake them. Don't touch them. Don't speak to them. Get distance. Get somewhere safe. And don't assume they'll be harmless when they wake, because if Jeff's inside, there may not be anyone left to wake up. Tip 9. Music box sounds mean you're already marked. It starts faint, so faint you think it's a memory at first, a soft tinkling melody, like a childhood lullaby you forgot years ago, but somehow remember just enough to hum along. That's how Jeff gets in deep. Not with screams, with familiarity. The first time I heard it, I was in the attic, digging through old junk boxes for Halloween decorations. The air was stale and dry, the kind of silence that makes your ears ring. And then, behind me, came the music. Faint, off-key, just 3 or 4 notes in a loop. Plink, plink, plink. Pause, repeat. I froze, slowly turned. There was nothing, just a cracked window, cardboard boxes, and dust thick enough to choke on. But the music kept playing. It wasn't from a phone, wasn't coming from downstairs. It was in the room, but nowhere at the same time. Like the melody was echoing out of the corners, like the shadows were playing it just for me. I bolted, tripped down the attic steps, and didn't look back. That night, I found the music box on my bed. I don't own a music box. It was small, hand-carved, painted white with tiny black smears across the lid. Inside was a single note. You heard me. The next few days were a blur of paranoia. I kept hearing it again, in my vents, under the floorboards, even through the static when the TV lost signal. Always those same few notes, always at night. I talked to someone online who claimed the same thing happened to them. Their advice? If you hear the song, it means he's chosen you. Jeff doesn't hum, he doesn't sing, but something does on his behalf, like a signal flare, like a bell rung for dinner. And once the song starts, you can't tune it out. Here's what you need to do. If you hear music box sounds, stop everything. Get out. Do not fall asleep. Do not investigate. Burn the clothes you were wearing. Change your environment. The melody is his fingerprint, his mark. It's not a warning, it's a countdown. And if you're still in the same place when it ends, he'll be the one closing the lid. Tip 10. Burn the pillow, not the house. People always go big when they panic. They burn the whole house down, flee into the woods, break their mirrors, salt the windows, as if fire can erase something that lives in the cracks between thoughts. But that's not how Jeff works. He's not tied to your walls. He's tied to you, and more specifically, to the place where you sleep. It took me weeks to piece it together. The headaches, the lucid dreams, waking up with blood under my fingernails and no memory of why. Then came the night I saw him. Not in a mirror, not on my camera, in my dream. I was in my room, but wrong. The walls were warped, swollen like wet paper. My bed was there, but the sheets were torn, and at the center, nestled like a corpse in a coffin, was my pillow, soaked through with something dark, breathing, and crouched above it was him. Jeff, smiling, watching me sleep like it was his favorite movie, eyes gleaming like knives, mouth torn wide. He didn't move, didn't speak. He just reached down and pressed the pillow over my face. I woke up gasping, and my pillow, it smelled like bleach. That's when I understood. The pillow is the tether. It's the one thing you press your face against every night. You breathe it in. You close your eyes and surrender to it. And once you've seen him, even once, he begins to live there. Not in the attic, not in the mirror, not in the hallway, in your pillow. That's where he waits for the next dream, for the next whisper. So here's the final rule. Don't burn your house. Burn your pillow. Take it outside. Soak it. Set it on fire. Watch the flames rise. And if you hear laughter as the stuffing burns, keep going. You can buy a new house. You can sleep on the floor. But if you let that pillow stay, if you lay your head down just one more time, he'll be there, waiting, smiling, and this time you won't wake up. If you've made it this far, then you've probably heard it by now. The laugh, that dry, broken sound, like someone trying to smile through a slit throat. Maybe it came from the hallway. Maybe it came from your dream. Maybe it came from inside your head. Doesn't matter, because once you've heard him, once you've seen the smile and lived, you don't escape. You survive, one night at a time. These tips, they won't kill him. Nothing will. He's not a ghost, not a demon, not something you can cleanse with sage and a strong will. He's an idea that grew teeth, a nightmare that never stopped evolving. You won't even know he's won until it's too late, until you wake up smiling, until the mirror grins first, until you say, "Go to sleep," and mean it. So stay awake, stay alert, and whatever you do, never smile back. If you're still breathing, go ahead and like the video. Subscribe if you dare. There are plenty more nightmares waiting for you. And whatever you do, don't forget to ring the bell. It's the only way you'll hear the warnings in time.